Hello, everyone. Welcome to our, second installment of the Cap Gun podcast. I am the Cameron, and Justin is back. He's this way. He's over here for
I'm
me.
the Justin. Are
The
we
Justin.
doing that? That's a thing we're
The
doing.
official Justin. Yes.
Welcome to the official Justin podcast. I'm your host, Justin, and here is Justin, and Justin. And we're here to bring you a Justin show today about Justin in schools.
We do have two other people on the podcast today.
Different names, yes.
Yes, they do have different names, Justin. I forgot to tell you that they're not called Justin. Our two other American members of Capcom Productions, Keeley and Mitchel. Why don't you guys say hi, introduce yourselves for like 10, 15 seconds.
Hello, I'm Mitchell. That's about all I have to say.
Hi, I'm Keeley. Never mind,
hi,
I thought
Keeley.
that's what you were saying.
Nice. Where are you guys from originally in the Americas?
Keeley, if you'd like to start.
I'm from Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey.
I'm
And
from
that's it.
Middletown. Yeah, that's just about it.
Nice. You guys actually went to high school together, which we're gonna talk about high schools today later. Meeting these two was tons of fun. I met Mitchell. I knew you before I met you. I forget how I first met you, but this sounds really awkward. But like the main time that I remember is at the which film festival was it? The one Red Bank.
The
Jump in if
Monmouth
you-
Film Festival, I think.
Was it Monmouth? Because I
Indie
remember
Street.
meeting
It
you.
was Monmouth.
Because I remember meeting you at the other one as well.
I remember meeting you at Indie Street Festival.
Yes, Indie Street at the award ceremony.
Yes.
I was there representing
That's where I got your
a movie.
card. Yes.
Yeah.
But before that, I knew you from the Monmouth County get-together. I forget what it was. And
Yes.
you were with
I remember
Custom Video.
Yeah. Oh my. Jeez. Yeah. Oh, I remember this now. Somewhat, because I remember us talking about you going to Mid-South. I know your old film teacher. He is a legend as far as film teachers go in our area. But yeah, and so I had met him at this Mix Mingle thing, and then we had kind of met each other again at Indie Street, and at the time I was looking for people to help out on a movie that I was doing. And Mitchell was like, "Cool, can I bring someone?" And I said, I need as many people as possible. And so both of them came on as PAs. And then back in February when we worked on Stuck in the City together, Justin and I had a chat, and I was like, I like these two. And he's like, same. And so we kind of started to divide and conquer, and we're like trying to hint at people of them like joining us. And somehow it worked, because here they are.
There's a lot of begging and pleading, but I think it worked out in the end.
Yeah, there really was. So yeah,
Oh, you were saying, Cam?
We're not gonna go as much into who everyone is and their backstory today. There is a campaign going on where we do have backer perks such as interviews with everyone one-on-one talking about, their like film upbringing and how they joined the company and more like that. But today I really want to talk about film programs in high schools because as I'd mentioned last episode with Justin, there is a very little out there for students who are talking about being students of film, I feel like. And so I really want to dig into like the high school aspect because I know, Justin, you went to an arts high school.
Oh, yeah. Communications High School, which everything there was focused around the artistic view. And I was very grateful for that program, but I understand that you, on the other hand, didn't really get to focus that much in on that.
We had Rumson Fairhaven Regional, which is my alma mater, was a very sports oriented school. We had a pretty decent theater program, but as far as film goes, we had one film studies class and a graphics class, which I wouldn't even consider film because we did some like old photography work and did some Photoshop, but nothing ever more beyond that. But I know Middletown South has a huge film program, as I believe Middletown North does as well. But you guys both went to South. You guys, I believe Mr. Corey is the teacher's name out there, and he's done a lot of stuff with you guys. And I know you guys are always representing festivals around the state. And I know you guys have actually won awards as students. So I wanted to kind of dive into that and see what your kind of thoughts were on that. But I'm gonna veer back to Justin for a bit because he went to communications, which
Yes.
I wanted to go into very much because I know the application process for communications is not easy. It can be vigorous at times.
It wasn't the easiest, but to my recollection and what I would hear stories about after the time I got accepted, from what I gather, it definitely got way harder to get in, just based off of like your academic history prior to application throughout primarily middle school. I hear it's gotten a lot harder since I first applied, so to some degree I'm like, oh, I really won it out there. It was a fun program, fun like system for figuring out who's going to be a part of it, because they had to. It was a raffle and it's not a raffle. That's not the right word, but it was a pool. That's the word. It was a pool, in which it was the person with the best scores on. It was a mix of like a test that you had to take at the school and a test and your prior grades in school. And whoever had the best overall score per town automatically got in. So you could be overall at the bottom, but if you're the first, yeah. But and then it was top person per school, and then it was everyone else was put in a pool that was then ranked and then let in. But they is interesting because I don't know if I was at the very bottom, very top of that. But I hear it's a very vigorous process, and it's interesting because for an arts high school, you wouldn't expect it to be so academically rigorous to get in the first place, but it makes sense because it was part of a system of schools where it was really the only artsy high school within the group that all used the same system.
Sure.
So that's a very interesting part of the process.
Yeah. What I also find interesting is you basically went to school with people from everywhere in the county, which, Monmouth County is pretty diverse. I've driven through, like I've done a couple projects all over the place, and like you go a little bit west and you're in like in the countryside almost. We all come from a similar area of like suburbia and that kind of stuff, but that was interesting to me. Like, how did that shape the stories that you told, but also the people that you worked with? Because that must have been hard for you to have to work with people from everywhere.
Traveling, that was absolutely crazy. Because I lived about 35 minutes away from my school. No one wanted to work with me because of that. I was so out of the way from everyone else. And I know we're gonna dive into the culture aspect, but in simple terms of like coordination, and because it's all the collaborative process. And right nowadays things are suddenly a little bit more, hey, what can we do remotely? But at the time it's like whoever's in the same towns or neighboring towns always getting together, and that was such a huge big part of it. So, but having to get aside from that hurdle, on a cultural perspective level, I wouldn't say that there was a huge, enormous difference in everyone wanted to be an artist. That's such a huge dynamic part of it. So people are going to just come in with their own visions nonetheless, and of course your background changes that, but ultimately we're all interested in making something, so we're going to put in the work to make that happen. And that being in a school with people that wanted to be at an arts high school shows, because everyone there wanted to be there. And that's
Right.
I assume that's such an enormous difference between that and going to a hometown public high school, where you might get people that are like, I guess I'll have to be here, and I'll do the thing that'll most interest me at best if I want to survive boredom for 4 years.
Right.
I'm sure that's not everyone, but you really wouldn't get that at communications.
Well, speaking about being at the public high school, Mitchell and Keeley, you guys kind of, I guess, got lucky in a sense because your home high school had a big film program, and so did you guys know each other before going into high school, or were you guys in different middle schools?
We were in different middle schools. I think we met in high school. I think we met our sophomore year when we had our first film class.
Yeah. And you guys have worked ever since together? Like, because I know you guys came as a package to me. Like, you guys were, like, tight when I first met you. But, like, has that always been the case? Was it just, like, what was the beginning story between the two of you?
Yeah, I mean, like, I forget which film we did first together, but we sort of realized that as we kept going along and as we kept making more films together, we kept winning more awards. And so that really caused us to stick together, at least in my eyes. But we've known each other now for, I think, like 4 or 5 years. Like, ever since sophomore year of high school. And that was, like, 2016, just about. So, yeah, I mean, we've just been working on stuff together for ever since then.
Nice. Keely, did you want to?
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. I honestly, I agree. I honestly can't remember the first film we worked on together, but I think, like, for both of us, the moment we realized we actually, like, made really good stuff together was when we did Clown. Like, that really, like, solidified it, and then everything after that, we just worked together on everything, just because it just, like, made sense, and we were able to bounce good ideas off each other. But just going back to how, Cameron, you're introducing our high school, we went to Middletown High School South. I definitely wouldn't say we had a big film program, and I wouldn't like to say it was a good school for the arts because none of the funding went to it. The only reason we had a good film program was because we had an amazing teacher that put himself in it even on times he didn't need to, and, like, jeopardized his own personal life to be with us 24/7 and, like, on weekends, and always do stuff for us and use his own money to, like, help us do things. Like, the funding for the program was lackluster, and he just busted his ass so we could, like, have anything. So he's definitely special, and after moving on in my, like, film career and going to different schools and, like, meeting new people, I realized how special he actually was to have, because I'm learning about their film programs and, like, the way their teachers spoke to them, and, like, how they all just had all this money and had all this equipment, but, like, their teachers were not the same as what I got. So I'm just lucky I had a good teacher. Even if the funding wasn't there, he really just taught us how to, like, express ourselves, like, well and with dignity, kind of.
I guess it does.
I agree.
Sorry, what's up?
No, you're good. I have to sort of agree, only because he was putting out all of our films to festivals by himself. He was doing all of that behind the scenes. That wasn't sanctioned by the school. He was just asking us beforehand, and then using, I think he was using his own money to enter our stuff into festivals for us to win them. I mean, it was like he did do a lot behind the scenes. And yeah, I mean, our first year we were using, like, the $40 handheld camcorders. But I mean, you know, we worked with what we had. We made a lot of last minute decisions and last minute just contraptions to make sure we got what we got. And for the most part, it worked out really well. And I really have to, like, thank him for that, you know, because he definitely got our creativity going on and off. I guess I should say in front and behind the scenes.
I think so. It sounds like teachers make up how you see it. Because I didn't know all that. Like, I met your teacher. I've met him a few times. He was in the festival circuit, and everything that I did was on my own. Right? We didn't even have that framework. So when I went to festivals and I saw all the Middletown South kids, like they were always in a group, close knit, and their teacher was there, and he knew the heads of the festivals, and he knew this person, that person, and it was like, oh, this must be a program that they actually have funding for and money, and they actually put the time and effort, and they actually have courses about how to make videos and how to make films and how to do that kind of stuff. Because we didn't have any of that, as I'd mentioned before. So like it just was like, wow, this is such a cool program. But I didn't know all of that. That it was all just him busting his ass basically to get things done. Was there only one class per, like, was there only, like, I don't know, what was the system over at Middletown South? Like, was there a progression? Was there only one, like, and did people weed themselves out the longer that it went? And like, maybe you can talk about that a bit.
Yeah, I think you definitely said that as well when we got into our later years, because it was the intro class, which was your first year. Then it went to your advanced class, which was your second year. And then if you were really dedicated to film and had like aspirations for a career, you'd go into independent study, which was just a second year of advanced, but he gave you more projects to do and more freedom to do it with. But he said to us, most people take the first year of film and weed themselves out because they're just trying to get the art requirement in for their graduation. Mm-hmm. So it was mostly the first year you had an interest, the second year you were into it, and if you're there for the third year, it was your life almost. But everyone in our third year of independent study pretty much had aspirations to going into a film career or into some sort of acting or TV career.
Sure. Nice. Now, Justin, how does that compare to, because I bet you stuck with most of the grade throughout the whole, and I know communications isn't just film-based, right?
Right. We film, art, journalism was really big. Everyone took freshman year film. Everyone. That was just a part of the. Everyone took film, TV, radio. There was an art class sophomore year. There's a journalism class sophomore year. Everyone got the basics. So it wasn't until junior year where we were actually picking things. Electives were only junior and senior year. So I did get to see a lot of people who were interested in film stick around, and that the weeding out process was a little more inherent because it wasn't people that were just trying it out. It was you're there, and that's just kind of how it is. But being that it was an art school, everyone was at the very least minimally interested in at least giving it a try. But it did definitely gradually decrease over time, and then there was a very firm single class. And I mean, then that's another thing. It's a school for arts, but there's still ultimately, like, you hit junior senior year, like one film class. But it's also a smaller school.
Do you guys ever still work with people that you were in classes with in high school? Keeley, Mitchel, I know you guys are working together right now. Let's put that to the side real quick. Anyone that's not in this call that you work with.
Honestly, no. I have been. I've always felt that networking was a weakness of mine. I still talk to people that I met through film in college, but high school, on the other hand, it was very much we went off on our separate ways and kind of disbanded. I have friends from high school that were film adjacent that I'm still in contact with, but not on a professional basis by any means. Just purely, let's chat, let's be friends. It wasn't until college where I was really maintaining those connections that I had made at the time. But I still have a fondness for the people I met in high school and for the projects we made. And I'll look back on that and go, "Whew, I should reach out." But I feel like everyone must have had that universal experience of, I should reach out to this person, but I have 1,000 other things going on.
Right.
That's just kind of how it is. And but if it's someone you're dying to talk to again, just do it. Yeah.
I don't know. Do you talk to anybody, Keely? Because I think I've tried, but I think it's also a matter of what Justin says, that people have their own lives and people have their own things going on, and I know a lot of people have since dropped out of doing film, so I think it's sort of hard. But then again, I I haven't reached out that much either, so it's sort of this weird like limbo of, you know, you're not reaching out to anybody, but nobody's reaching out to you.
Yeah, I have for majority, I have a similar thing like Justin was saying, like you'd reach out to them as like friends or something, but not really like professionally. But for everyone that but that's just but I think for everyone that continued and is majoring in film from our like independent study class, I still talk to, but honestly, I really only talk to like one or two other people like a lot and still work with them here and there from high school. That might be including you. So like you're one of them, and then like one more person. So like, yeah, just like one other person, which obviously you know Vic, and like I'm sure you would work with her too, like if we had the opportunity. But like yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't really think too many other people from our high school we keep in contact with, but we keep in contact with pretty much everybody, but like work professionally with as of right now, not really, because we're all at different points in our lives, and like a lot of the people we were close with were also the year below us in our independent study class, like grade wise, so a lot of them are now just entering college, so they're still figuring themselves out and figuring out what they want to do. But I remember like throughout high school, the main thing that Mr. Corey like tried to implement in the class was that like it was kind of like a familial kind of vibe, like when you were in the classroom and the way you spoke to each other and worked with each other, it was really just like problem solving and dealing with a lot of like emotions with each other. And I think and
Isn't that a film set?
Yeah. there were a lot of rough things, obviously, as I'm sure everyone that's worked on a film set has had like rough moments with each other, but the biggest thing Mr. Corey would always say, like even if you didn't know each other like going through, like he'd bring back a lot of his old alumni like all the time, like there'd be someone in the room that graduated and was visiting and would talk to us, and a lot of people would come in and tell us what they were doing now, and they'd be doing like really amazing things in the industry. And the biggest thing Mr. Corey would always tell us was that like he loved doing like this, so that as we leave high school and if we continue going into film, if we meet somebody that was also Mr. Corey's kid and like a Middletown High School South person, like we'll pull each other up and like help each other when we're doing jobs. So like even though I don't personally know some of the people or I don't keep in touch with them, like we kind of had that instilled in us. So I have like no doubt that as I go forward, like I will be meeting people that went to South and like had Mr. Corey, and we will be
Is there a secret
like,
alumni
together.
group that you guys are a part of that I can maybe tap into? I think Justin might also have a similar question. I will build any connections necessary for this industry.
We have a shadow militia in the industry. We're just always prepared to hire other South alumni.
One of the things throughout this conversation that has impressed me the most is talking about that Middletown teacher in the college mindset professor, and the illusion that being just so essentially great at networking can be, and all it takes is knowing people and knowing the system to get so much fun. And that's just the thing about the art world. It's who you know, where you could get through that, and I feel like that's why our conversation comes back often to the networking and who we know and who we still reach out to, because it's people like that, the teacher we were talking about, that like if you put yourself out there and you're talking to people, that's when stuff happens.
Right.
And it's the illusion of having a big budget, just talking to people.
Well, what is
It's
it?
really
Opportunity is when luck meets hard work, right? Like that's how it is. Definitely you need luck, but if you work hard, like luck will find you somehow. Like I don't know how it happens, but like the only reason why I'm able to do stuff here is because I got lucky, because I worked hard, because I got lucky, because I worked hard, right? Like I had a teacher recommend me for a project who brought me on to another set, who just happened to be someone from the Berlin area who I now met 10 other people through, and like that's like that time at Eden is through that like
Right.
6 like person connection mind matrix style, like the heck is going on. But I think that's all three of you work super hard on your craft, and you guys work super hard on the products that we have planned for this month, and for beyond that. No matter what is coming out now, I know that this is long term. We're gonna come out with more and more things. So I don't know, has there been any like defining connection for you guys where you'd be like, yes, that's the one that jump started me into the thing, right? Like kind of thing.
I'll take it. It wasn't a school connection. I'll bring this up often, assumedly in interviews that have been recorded already. But 8th grade, talking middle school, met Adam Katz, who eventually went on to create the show Anatomy Insanity, and that's what brought me really, really into the film world. And that's all internet. I met him through a total drama, the Survivor style animated show based camp on the internet, just like playing as the characters, and just you never know who you're gonna meet, and that's
right.
And he held auditions for an animated show, and I came on that, and so many of the people I work with now are branching off of that. So it is important to take every opportunity and stay in touch with people, because you don't know what's gonna come. We all face opportunities, but they mean nothing if you're not gonna take it.
100%. I don't know. I have people that for specific reasons, best not mention them. But reasons why I know Logan and so many other of the people in New York. Like it is always, you work hard, and that's how you kind of rise to the ranks, right? I wouldn't have worked with Miguel or DP for House Sitters again if it hadn't worked the first time, and if he hadn't liked my work on the one short that I did, where he then asked me to do audio for the next short, which then he gave me an IOU, which I then used for House Sitter. Like, that's how these types of things work.
Networking and favors.
100% it's favors. It's always favors. Hey, can you do this for free? Sure. Can you do this for free? Sure. Sure, okay.
It helps when none of us have money.
100%. And I know, Mitchell and Keeley, you guys have that dynamic where you guys kind of work on each other's stuff. I know you've been doing that ever since. But from what I've been, whenever I'm talking with you guys on one-on-one meetings about projects, like, oh yeah, no, Mitchell will have this role, or Keeley will have this role, and it's always like kind of, you guys are always like, you guys are the two peas in a pod in layman's terms, right? You guys are always like, I always got to put Mitchell and Keeley together no matter what, because you guys are always together, and you guys build opportunities for yourselves, and that's why it's like, when I met Mitchell, it was, oh, I got to bring this other friend on. Right? It's like, I can't, let's bring Keeley on as well. Oh, yeah, Keeley, I need you. Oh yeah, is Mitchell going on this shoot? Like, that's That's all that I always
Is
hear
that
from you
something that
guys.
makes you happy? Do you not like being cradled together? Do you want to just forge your own path? Are you excited about
It is a question, isn't it?
about the unification here?
It's
Yeah.
we despise each other. We're not even on speaking terms. That's why we only speak to Cameron and Cameron exclusively.
That's all that happens.
Cameron, tell Keeley I hate her.
I mean, just keep assuming you enjoy it.
But that's the
What a
thing.
bit, guys.
We just keep succeeding. We just keep winning stuff. So that's why we still like work together. But other than that, boom, nothing.
Out the door. Because the comparison was bringing up, like, just the thought. I have sisters who are twins, and, like, they like each other, but to be, like, consistently, like, seen as
Right.
one entity, like, can get grating. But, like, you do both bring your own thing to the table. You're all both working on your own very individual projects. Like,
Correct.
very different in scope and purpose. But both bringing something great to the table. But then there's the collaboration aspect where we are all helping one another as a full group,
Right.
trying to raise each other up. So I it's always good to have a mix of the individual voice and the collaborative voice, and best of both worlds, of course.
Is it for you guys defining who is the head of the project? Or are you guys, because I know in high school you guys work together, but we've had small conversations about that dynamic, but like I've always wanted to know like what was like the dynamic then, because now we've kind of structured it where like you each have a project and you both are helping each other. Like, is that always the case? Has it always been the case, or like has it usually been like in school you guys worked on projects in groups and you guys always worked together, and so there was never really a head? Like how did that kind of like, and if that there was a transition between school and now, how has that been different? How has it affected everything?
I honestly think... Oh, there's a motorcycle. Sorry. But I honestly think, like, even in high school, there wasn't... Neither of us really, like, were actually the head, like, the leader. Like, I feel like we both... Whatever project we worked on, even though we were with, like, a good group of people most of the time, except, like, because, like, I can think of one time, like, for What's Your Favorite Part of Life, I think we were all kind of leaders in that. Like, we all really did an equal part. But for, like, Clown and for other things, even if we were with good people, we kind of were both the leaders. And, like, the other people weren't as dedicated to it because they weren't going into film later on. So we put, like, the most time and effort into it. So I think... And, like, I think for Clown, like, the only reason, like, I got, like, listed as director is because you were, like, you were the clown. So, like,
Yeah.
but we both, like, really took on, like, the role of just, like, getting everything together and, like, kind of being, like, directors and stuff. So we're both, like,
Yeah.
good at leading.
I think, like, I do remember definitely having some awkward moments where there was only one slot for director. Like, when we were submitting films to festivals and stuff, and you could only submit one name. I remember that being, like, a very, like, touchy subject. And just, like, who do we put on it? Who gets the award? You know, if somebody wins, do we split the money? Like, I remember all those conversations. And, yeah, with a lot of, like, the intro and advanced classes, definitely the people who had plans to go on to the third year of independent study definitely took charge. Because a lot of, in those first 2 years, you can't really choose your groups, if I remember correctly.
Right.
And then the third year, we all sort of worked together, and that's when we really started winning awards. But we've been working together as much as we could ever since that, I think, because we've always had that good dynamic. But
Now, Mitchell, you've done 2 of your episodes for Working Title now. I know you've shot both of them. And I know Keeley was on one of those shoots and she wasn't on the other. Like, was there a big difference in your workflow?
I think there was sort of like, I do rely on Keeley a little bit. Like, as much as I hate to say it, it's sort of like I've worked with her for so long and we've developed our own like flow that
Right.
it's noticeable when there's that absence, especially on our first episode. I was all over the place. I like Keely's very much the level-headed one, where I am very much so trying to get things done. At least on my sets, I guess. That's how I see it. But on my first set, I was a little bit all over the place. I was a little bit thinking ahead of myself. I was trying to get the shots done and move to the next thing. And I was so focused on trying to make time for everyone and trying to make sure that we were on schedule that I think my work suffered a little bit because of that. I was so focused on making sure that we were on schedule that I was so focused on trying to get it done that I was not paying attention to anything else outside of, is it good? All right, let's go. And I think having that flow of having another person with me gives me that second chance to say, wait, I should have someone else look at this. I should have someone else look at this and make sure it's good. Because it's always that second pair of eyes. It's always that second brain. It's always someone I can go to say, is this good? You know, are we on time? It's just less things that I have to think about, but it's also just more opinions, so that there's more of a better judgment, I guess I should say. It's not just me making decisions based off of whatever I rationalize. It's a second opinion. It's just a second rationale, essentially. For the second shoot, when Keely was there, that's when really our flow started to come into play, and we were really we were more upbeat, I should say. We were more confident in our moves. We were doing things just when there's a problem that came up, we said, all right, we can take care of this, instead of how do we take care of this? We already knew that we were already working on a solution, instead of figuring out how, we were already doing.
Right.
It's just a huge confidence boost to have someone there who can look things over for you just on the spot, and you don't have to worry about just saying, all right, well, we can probably fix this in post, or we can probably do this, that, and the other thing, or this is good, and this will have some transition over to that. It's just more. Well, now I'm flustering my whole thing. But
I get what you mean. I definitely do. I've now shot 2 projects out here in Germany, and especially the upper crew of like Justin, for example, and Zach, and some of the people that I've worked with for the past like 2 years now. Like, it's hard, like, not having that, and makes you more independent. And especially for Guardians, there were some moments where I really could have used you guys on set, where I was like, all right, I needed like someone that knew how to deal with me to like deal with me. Right? I am the emotional person on set. I can get very flustered. Justin's like, yeah. I am the one that very much tries to put pedal to metal and tries to get work done, but also, if we get out of that rhythm, I am the one that has a really hard time getting back on track. And I rely on, my AD and my script supervisor and some people in that circle to kind of help me. And working with a whole new cast of people right now has been tough. Trying to figure out how to get that done. So I totally get what you mean. I totally get where that's coming from. It can be very difficult to try to work away from that. I think, though, we still get something done in the end. I think that's one nice thing. It's never what you think. I don't know if you guys can agree with me or not, but I never think the project that I end up with is the one that I started with.
I think that's just a universal rule. You never end up with something that you came up with in your head. It's never going to look exactly the same. It's never going to be exactly how you want it.
Sure. So like I'm just like, well, it's the product, it's done, right? And it can still be cool, but you're never just like, and I definitely felt that, especially on Guardians, where it's like, when things didn't go right, I didn't know what to do sometimes, and I was a little overwhelmed, and there wasn't anyone there who could really realistically help me in that instance. But we live and learn. I think we learn to cherish the people that we love working with even more when we don't work with them, with whatever reasoning that is. But yeah.
Once we worked with them in high school, then we just kind of forget about them.
Right. It's like the college people. It's
Yeah,
the
exactly.
college
Those
people.
college people who matter.
You know, has college brought you into contact, or just I know you graduated? Did college bring you into contact with people that you still work with or enjoy working with, or that kind of stuff?
Yeah, go ahead, Mitchell.
If anyone else wants to talk, they can interrupt me. But I think this year, and especially college now, is a special case because
Right.
of COVID. I mean, I think we sort of just have to acknowledge that, because if I look to my left and I look to my right, it's one poster versus another poster. It's not my classmate and it's not another classmate. It's just
Right.
me in a room getting Brady Bunched on Zoom. So, I mean, really, it's
Love
just
that
it's just a wall of people, and that's all you see.
Right.
But there is that limited connection. There's no I don't know anyone's names in any of my classes other than my teachers, and that's because I have to email them. There really
Mood.
is just no more collaboration.
Right.
And while my teachers are trying to keep those projects up, of not necessarily group projects, but you have to edit this, you have to shoot this, they always say grab a friend, and that's still been challenging because I don't have those classmates anymore. I can't just ask someone to come over, so I have to actually go out and look for a friend. I can't make that connection in class because I can't really see them.
Right.
I feel like that just inherently lowers the value of the college experience as a result, especially if you're interested in the art worlds where these, again, like we've been talking about, the connections are so essential to the environments that, like, if you're not meeting people, you're definitely not getting that same value out of it.
Yeah.
But I assume it still costs the same. So
Yeah, I guess especially because college costs so much, especially in the U.S., it is all about the connections. If you don't make connections in college, like no one's going out there on a film set and going, "Whoa, what school did you go to?" Like no one cares.
Yeah. I think I've been told this before as well, is that when you go to college for TV and film, you're really there to make connections. Because if you might not get lucky, but somebody else might. And if you
Right.
still know that
Hopefully,
person,
yeah.
you can advance yourself. And it's sort of the same way with if you do get lucky. You have other people who are there that you can draw from, that you can draw support from to advance yourself and bring people up with you. But
Right.
I've been told a lot of college is making those connections, especially in TV and film. And right now I feel like with that inherent part being gone, you're correct. It's pretty much a diluted experience. It's not the same.
Has the collective helped at all to try to bridge that gap during this time?
Yeah, I think it definitely has. With this, it's sort of like I'm not getting graded, obviously, but maintaining, and making new connections is definitely an integral part.
Are you
And
saying,
I
Mitchell,
think
you
that's what I
want
appreciate
grades
the
for
most.
Capcom Productions for the projects that you do? Is that what you're telling me? You
Oh
want
man, no.
you want
No,
grades
no,
for punctuality and if you get the project in on time? Is that what you're telling me?
I'd rather not, because I'm pretty sure I'd be fired. I'm pretty sure I'd be fired like week 1. But yeah, I mean, like
Justin's just like, Cameron, you shouldn't have brought that one up. That was not called for.
Well, now I kind of want grades. I'm like,
Oh my
but
God.
then I was gonna be like,
You
I
can
get a
have
C,
grades.
but I'm like, wait, is the camera reversed? Wait, which one's a C? Who's to say truly? Letters are a construct.
Nothing exists outside of my head.
Oh boy. But yeah, no, I especially for my sanity, this group has definitely helped me keep my thoughts in check, and as much as it's helped to broaden my horizon, that's to get new projects off the ground, to help produce it. It's also brought me new friendships, I feel like, and I think deeper friendships with you guys. But yeah, you guys have been very awesome. So that is it for today. Justin, Keeley, Mitchell, you want to plug the crap out of things? Stuff that you have coming up on either already on here that was in Pilots Week, or short that you're going to be releasing, or your Instagram handle. Go ahead. Justin, you start.
Yeah, anyone could check me out at JBudVA, JYBUDVA on Twitter. I don't have a project, but Danny's not here, so I'll plug that he's been working on Danny Swiggleton, his vlog series. Very excited about that, especially on a production basis, and hearing that voice and story time. That's been a lot of fun to watch. Where you at, Keeley? Let's hear. Plugging.
My only thing I use, my Instagram is Keeley Giblin, and I will update what I'm doing currently with film on there at whatever time this is up. And check out my short that should be up about a sock.
Yeah! Oh, I'm
Yeah.
so hyped. I've heard about this. It is so astounding.
Yes.
Everyone should check that out.
Check out Han Official on Instagram. Check out Working Title on Capgun. First 2 episodes should be coming up on Pilot Week. Super pumped. That's all I got.
Yeah! Woo-hoo-hoo! Good. Hype. This is the good stuff. Were you working on anything, Cameron?
Cameron Spector Official is my Instagram and Twitter and whatever. Guardians of Berlin episode 1 was up in Pilot Week. I believe at this point, Stuck in the City is already out. If it's not, we have dropped a trailer which had Justin and I writing the script, Mitchell doing the amazing audio, Keeley doing makeup, and everyone being amazing on set in New York City right before Corona hit. And then, of course, Slowly Separating, which Justin and I helped co-write with our dear friend Eva Krause. You three, thank you so much for calling in from the States. And yeah, we'll see everyone who joins us with the next episode.
So long, everyone!
Peace out, everybody.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.